Kia ora koutou. My name's Jenny Steen, and with Ilmaz, who's also joining us, we're the co-conveners of the Geoid Special Interest Group. And also I'd like to acknowledge Chris Hollis, who's here today, who's the convener of the Paleontology Special Interest Group, both of the Geoscience Society of New Zealand, who are hosting this talk today. We are going to be hearing from a PhD student from Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington, Alexey Ippolitov. So Alexey is out here studying belemnites from the Southern Hemisphere, but from 2010 to 2022, he was an active member of a group promoting paleontological knowledge in Russia. They were involved in editorials in glossy magazines, several large web portals, and managing a local amateur fossil society. So we're going to hear from Alexey today about his experiences and maybe some ideas that we can try here to promote paleontology here in New Zealand. This is one in the series of GeoTalks that we've been giving throughout the year. So if you've been before, you know the drill, but if you haven't, please put your questions in the chat as we go, and we will address these at the end of Alexey's talk. Please make sure that your mics are turned off through Alexey's talk, but we welcome you to turn on your videos and mics at the end so we can have a bit of Q&A and discussion. Chris, is there anything you would like to add about today's talk?
Yes, hi. Sorry, I'm late checking in because we've had a little bit of wind and rain here in Wairarapa, and I'm had to start up the generator to get my computer and internet working. So, yeah, but I'm here, so it's good. Yes, so I don't know if you mentioned, but Alexey has given the same talk or offered the same talk at Geosciences this year, and I suggested to him that within the short time we have for Geosciences talk, we wouldn't have the full opportunity to discuss his thoughts. And so that's why we contacted you to propose having the longer version here and a short distilled version at Geosciences in Auckland. That's the background.
That sounds amazing. So yeah, no, looking forward to getting the detailed version of the talk today, and then hopefully, yeah, it'll help you, Alexey, decide what are the key points to share with the wider geoscience community at the conference in November, which I hope you're all going to go to. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Alexey for his talk on paleontology outreach in Russia.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Chris. I'll start my presentation now. Just a second, sharing my screen. Okay, so good day to everyone. Today I'm going to present a talk, quite a long one, which is called Science-Society Interactions in Paleontology, Insights from Russia and the Potential to apply them in New Zealand. So this is Russia, this is New Zealand, nice contours. So this is the motto of today's presentation, so make paleontology great again. You can also see this guy with red hat, so make paleontology great again is the main motto of what I'm going to tell about. And the structure of the today talk will consist of 4 sections. First section will be just a couple of words why I'm giving this talk, what outcome I expect to reach, and why we need to discuss this today or this year or this decade. The second will be about some general things, why paleontological knowledge is important for the people in the modern world. I think mainly we speak about paleontology, but I know that people from Geoid group is also present here, and it may be also interesting experience for them to learn how our small science functionates and what functions does it have. The third section will be about Russian experience. I will just tell some cases which worked in Russia and which worked not properly in Russia. And the fourth one will be some very brief ideas, what can be transferred to New Zealand, how it can be transferred, and what can be possible outcomes of it. I should tell you that the present presentation will contain a lot of text on the slides, so please don't read it very carefully, because I aim to put this presentation on the Geological Society website, and when you watch the presentation on YouTube, it's quite difficult to learn to catch the necessary words. So aiming this presentation to be represented on YouTube channel, it contains a lot of text, so everybody who would like to watch it later could catch quickly all the ideas. But most important thing I will tell by words, so please don't go deep into text on slides, okay? I will explain everything. Okay, so, and the disclaimer, important one, that today presentation is not about science, so we will speak about some practical things, and many of them are just my opinions, my experience, and some assumptions which I have after years spent within this area. So this is a couple of words about me. So this is me on the right side. Besides my previous experience in science, I also had some activities which were connected with with paleontology outreach for the society. And this included different activities. In some activities, for example, for some period, I was editor of glossy journal in paleontology, Science Popular Journal. In another activities, I was helping one person to build a large website. In third one, I was organizing some paleontological tours, and again, doing this with third person. So I have quite a different experience in this area and would like to share just what we had after this. So, and particularly, wow, I came to New Zealand. One of reasons of choosing this area for doing PhD was, besides your perfect fossils, which deserve better studies than they have, is that I see some large potential in this part of the world for developing popular paleontology and to make it more interesting for people and involving more people in this. Because previously I was in Australia, which is in a way similar in mentality with this part of the world. And I see that they also have some potential as well, comparing with Europe, where I traveled and lived for many years before. So, and this is just to satisfy the curiosity of people who don't know me personally, what I'm learning. So I'm learning this kind of fossils. I'm studying this kind of fossils, doing PhD on them. But today's talk is not about these fossils. Today's talk is about explaining paleontology to the society. So I consider, honestly speaking, this topic, explaining paleontology to the society, how we do this, what methods we should use, even more important than my direct scientific research, because scientific research is focused for only specialists, while these things are important for everybody. So we start from the second section, is particularly, which would explain how paleontology work with the society. And I think many of you will find some ideas to discuss from here, or maybe pick up some ideas, I don't know, to follow later or else. So this is the title from one of articles in The Guardian, one of famous journals. But the idea is that many people in Russia, in Europe, in New Zealand, and everywhere where I can meet, they ask me, oh, what are you doing? You are studying paleontology. Does it have some use? Does it bring some money? Wow, really? It is useless or something like this. So what I mean that money is a big problem in paleontology because people in Europe will tell you it's difficult to get grants. It's difficult to get positions. It's difficult to get this, and this because not enough money for everything. And the situation is similar everywhere in the world, in Russia as well. So the basic problem of paleontology is that people, I mean white society, do not consider important what we are doing. Consider in money measurements or in else. And polite people would say they don't consider this economically valuable. This means our paleontology doesn't bring money to anything. It doesn't bring wealth to anybody. So the first question which we should answer for ourselves is what is the role of our science and what values we can give to the society. When we teach students, what we explain them? Okay, paleontology is stratigraphy. It's necessary to understand geological time, etc., etc. Blah, blah, blah. Paleontology is important for understanding past environments, climate change, ice cap melting, measuring their speed, etc., and blah, blah, blah. Stratigraphy and age is the main one. So, but to my opinion, there is another function which is very important, but very underestimated by scientific community. And this role and this function is education. Because this is one thing which we can try to sell to the wide society, that what we are doing is very important for education of the society. So, the general, just a second, okay. What is special about this educational role in paleontology? Okay, our science is based on direct observations on the world around. It means that it basically teaches people to think in a cause and effect way. It means when you see something, you try to get some explanation. And when you, for example, explain somebody why this oyster has holes on it, you explain what he sees and how this was formed. It teaches people how to find the cause and the reason for what they observe. And this nice picture in the lower bottom is taken from Russian school. I mean that there are different informational systems and different viewpoints on the world which try to do the same. They try to involve many people into their system. In Russia, Russian Church, which is now supporting war in Ukraine very aggressively, they understood this very early and they try to actively interact with children in schools. I mean that we have competitors which also try to take place in people's mind. So my idea is how we can try to sell this education for the society in paleontology is that the more people, especially young people, learn about paleontology, the stronger their cause and effect thinking and critical thinking skill. And the stronger the skills, the more clever citizens they grow. And the clever citizens, they produce more wealth. That's it. So this is how we can try to sell what we are doing to the society. I mean, explaining why it is important. And maybe this may be a more productive way than trying to explain something about measuring time and stratigraphy. Second special thing about paleontology is that our object of study is available for everybody. It means everybody can go to the locality, he can find some fossils, and he can take them home. Normally, it's sometimes it's regulated strictly, sometimes not, but our object is accessible for everybody. Black holes, stars, and etc. are not accessible for everybody, neutrinos and other things from science, but fossils are. And also, important thing, that paleontology has a huge variety of methods of study, varying from very simple ones. For example, when you take a digital caliper and take some measurements and doing some statistical research, or even make a single unique find and can describe it in a journal, to very complex ones, which includes complex physical and chemical methods of studies. It means basically that everybody can not only find his own fossil on the beach or somewhere else on some locality, but also everybody from the site can make a discovery inside this science. It also gives us some kind of a lift, social lift from amateur to professional. In Russia, we had some examples when people with deep love with paleontology, they grow from doing some amateur activities like collecting fossils to professionals employed in scientific institutions. That is one of things how it worked in Russia, and in Europe, sometimes, very rarely, it happens. And I should say that if we find some analogies, there are a large number of small disciplines which also have the structure like I described previously. For example, the zoology of birds, which contains many involved people who are not professionals, means not scientists employed in institutions, but helping the researchers, doing their own research, or just getting pleasure from what they observe in nature. And besides this zoology or birth, there are different small areas which have the same characters, like something connected with ecology, and else some biological disciplines, zoology, recent zoology, observing recent animals, etc., etc. All of these people who have interest in these branches, they can bring a real scientific result to the science. Okay, so this is a summary. I leave it for YouTube channel, but important what to highlight here is that one of our most interested groups are children who are involved into paleontology by huge toy industry with dinosaurs and with else, and children are one of focus group to interact with in paleontology, one of key focus group. And paleontology itself is one of most successful scientific showrooms. We should understand this when we do anything publicly in our science. It means it attracts basically more attention than any other science. What happens is there any news in paleontology which we drop to the world, which brings some interest from the public and else. So the structure of the society in paleontology has some certain groups which can be defined by what people do and what are their basic interests. Okay, and we need to understand how this all works, to understand what we are going to do with them, how we are going to interact with them, how we can help them, and what can be win-win practices with each of them. So the first one are researchers. Okay, people working in scientific institution, getting, let's say, governmental funding for their work, representing some scientific results, typically in form of publishing in scientific journals. I think most of us who met together today are members of this group. The second one is staff at different local museums, people collecting material from the certain area, typically from the certain area, just for exhibitional purpose. Sometimes this staff collects really nice local collections which have scientific significance and can be studied by us, for example, because many of us have expertise in their very narrow field. They practice interaction with the society in the traditional exhibitional way. However, many of them practice new formats, which we'll discuss later. Amateur society is just people who occasionally collect some fossils for their private collections, and sometimes they may behave legally or illegally. Working in legal field or illegal field, it means collecting something which is not allowed to collect from the places which is not allowed to collect anything else. Fossil dealers, people who try to sell some fossils mainly to these amateurs, but sometimes to museums and even to researchers. Sometimes this works. And the fourth group is general public, which is quite lazy to collect something themselves, and but they're ready to, for example, read interesting news for entertainment or something like this. So this is, let's say, knowledge pyramid. And one thing which I need to highlight is that possibly we are responsible for what happens on each floor, because this is object of our study, and we explain museums, what they keep in reality, what's the significance of their finds. We can explain fossil sellers, how valuable are their fossils and what do they mean. And of course for people, because we drop a lot of information which they consume for entertainment. And another thing which is important to understand is that with the appearance of internet 30 years ago, there are many new opportunities how to make advantage of collaborating with any member of these groups, because internet allows to build new networks which were not existing before, because people normally communicate with people they, for example, meet on the conferences, if we speak about scientists, which they meet inside their lab, etc., etc. But internet allows to meet people from every corner of the world and with different interests. So the idea is that just it is a good tool, and we need to use this advantage to collaborate with people. So I'm going to tell you, give you some examples to show how this collaboration worked in Russia. This is for period 2010-2022, when I was doing this actively. And I should say that many of the projects, which I will be representing shortly in the next slides, were initially organized by offline group of people who just met, had some common coffee, discussed something, went each own way, and everybody from this meeting was building something like own project or trying to do something for promoting paleontology in a way he liked. That's it. So this was kind of decentralized activity, but it started with some kind of meeting, maybe like today, I don't know. So currently, paleontology is quite popular in Russia because some celebrities and even politicians are known fossil collectors. It means they keep private collections. Sometimes they visit localities and try to find some beautiful fossils there. There are a lot of popular books which are publishing, including those, for example, which are very specialized in topics. It means not something like, okay, Encyclopedia of Dinosaurs, 100 dinosaurs in pictures explained. No, we speak about more specialized books. For example, there are 3 covers, hard covers on the picture. The right of them is just paleontological history of insects. The middle of them is the paleontology of Moscow region. So it's a regional book which helps regional people to collect their fossils and to describe their fossils, to understand their fossils. And the left one is a historical book about famous scientists who found the famous Permian fauna from north of European Russia. One of paleontological research was awarded by the most prestigious National Scientific Award in 2022. So this all means that paleontology is quite popular now in Russia, and that people who are involved in paleontology, they are quite well seen by the society. I should say that every 5th or every 7th news from science is about paleontology, because we have some news resources which look like a sequence of news from Russian Academy of Science. And every 7th or every 8th or every 6th news is about paleontology, today by fact. But of course, the number of paleontology is much smaller than the total number of people involved in different sciences, in other sciences. However, this development is very uneven across the country because Russia is hyper-centralized, so all the scientific life is grouped around Moscow, in Moscow region, and in the same area, there are 1/5 of population lives there around Moscow. All the other countries, the density of population is smaller than in New Zealand, twice smaller. So I will be telling you some stories about projects which I was involved or which were done by people which I know very well. It means I know the kitchen very well. You can ask questions later if you need after the talk, because we're going to leave some time for questions. But I will discuss them very briefly, just to bring the general idea what it was about, because of course, every of this project deserves its own presentation if we need to go into details. So the first one, from historically which I started my activity, is a big portal which is called Jurassic.ru. This is a big site devoted to Russian paleontology and made mainly for specialists. It contains a lot of literature. It contains a very huge library, library about Russian geology, Russian paleontology, and else. On the left side, you can see many sections of this site, yes. Besides all, it contains a large list of people who are involved with Jurassic research in Russia and worldwide, and different kind of useful links, for example, to journals with open access, with about several hundred of these journals in open access, which can be found from there. So currently it contains a huge number of publications, sets of keys, handbooks, which aimed to help people who collect fossils for themselves, means to amateurs. Initially, it was made for researchers, so it still has very old-fashioned design, but by fact used by a wide range of people. It is still active project, which is fulfilling mainly with new papers, and the library is fulfilling still. So what it allowed to do, as we had this central site with lots of literature, many people started to read this literature, and normally we had a huge economy of time in our research. This site is well known among non-paleontologists as well, giving them some help when they would like to go deeper, to dig deeper about their fossils and to understand themselves the scientific significance or potential scientific significance of finds they have. And as a universal measurement of any project, for me, as I think, is that it has similar projects later made by other people or not. So this project is maybe considered successful because it has several separate projects which were developed by different people later, made with similar structure and with similar idea. This is the site Cretaceous Rue, devoted to Cretaceous paleontology of Russia, but now it's frozen, unlike Jurassic Rue. There are also was site about Devonian and Permian. So another project which I was involved is preparing this nice glossy journal, which was called Paleo World, Paleomir in Russian, Paleo World in English. It was a glossy journal which was published by one of amateurs and fossil dealers, large fossil dealers in Russia. So it was initially bilingual, it means it has English version, and later issues were made in Russian only, just because the publisher saw that there is no demand in English version. That's it. So it expired after death of its founder, but it was a very great experience for us. What I should highlight here, that initial number of copies was 40,000, but later copies were just 5,000. So for a large country like Russia, 5,000 is more than enough, and the last copies of first issues were kept through many years and couldn't be sold in full. So there are many famous people who gave interviews to this journal, and there are also many very famous paleo artists like Andrei Tuchin. I think many people who make studies in vertebrate paleontology know him, because Paleomir, this journal, was a first step in his career when he became more or less famous in the society. So he started to draw illustrations for this journal for articles of other people. If summarize, this glossy journal was commercially unsuccessful and mainly supported by enthusiasm of its founder. It has quite a depleted pool of authors, which was limited. And sometimes journal had to urgently fill free space with lots of free advertisement or something like this, advertising archaeology or else, or GPS navigators or something like this. Okay, this is another project which was done by my one friends. This is a news portal about paleontology, means a devoted website which publishes some original paleontological content, not dropped off somewhere else and translated to Russian, for example, some news or press releases from researchers in other countries. But original content means the site was trying to find those authors who would write some papers, articles, and publishing this online. It was also a successful project because, again, limited pool of authors, etc., and was done as a hobby in a free time by one of amateurs. And it was non-commercial initially, later was trying to advertise something. It was not a successful project, and it seems that a classic way of delivering paleontology knowledge to the society through texts is slowly dying nowadays, unfortunately. It is exemplified by both this glossy journal, which I talked previously, and this website, because neither of these projects was commercially successful or was supported for a long time. And neither of them were followed by similar projects as well. Okay, so this is our fossil Instagram. Very famous and highly successful. Again, non-commercial project, but still it's existing, it's very active, and it holds a large community of people, helping them to group together. It's something like a social network for fossil amateurs, where people drop photographs of their fossils which they found to share with each other and discuss with each other. So the core of this website is the photographs of fossils which people find. Of course, collectors and amateurs, they would like to compare their own finds to show how great are their finds to other people. And they're dropping a lot of these photographs to this network and then having discussion. So we call it fossil Instagram in Russian. So it is a platform where most of our amateurs communicate with each other and with professionals as well. It's also very useful for professionals because sometimes amateurs find unique things which later published in scientific publications. And for example, on the upper photograph, you can see the unique crab from Crimea there. And on the lower one, an ammonite with the lifetime coloration band. Yeah. So, and example, this is a stone which was first published on this website in 2014. This is a fossil squid, a unique one. And in 2021, it was published in Scientific Journal. It means many new paleontological information first appeared on this website, and many of unique Russian finds published in different journals in the last 10 or 15 years came from this site. It helps scientists to see what amateurs have, because amateurs share with each other and scientists can look from the side and say, oh, this is scientifically important. We would like to describe it. Would you like to participate? Can you pass it to the science or something like this? It works like this. So one important thing, which I already told in general, but I will highlight once again. So pictures work much better than the texts. So text-based projects are now all dead or had limited success and now are inactive. While picture-based project, this Russian Instagram, this social network devoted to fossils, works very perfectly and has a lot of active users. There are some more projects which were connected with direct communication with people. Means it is not internet project, it is not printed project, not printed journal, nothing else, but something like we were trying. For example, first one is the thing which I was doing myself mainly. This is a bridging people from science and people from amateur community, and this was before active phase of this project was before appeared this Russian Instagram. We did lectures for them from time to time, once a month or something like this, grabbing them together for a tea, and this resulted that people get close contacts, went to field later together, etc., etc. And this kind of project is very highly popular in Russia. It still has some divisions in different regions, which run by other people. And it means that people have interest to this, so they're happy to invite scientists to give them lectures, etc., etc. In Russian, it's called Fans of Fossil Society, and with different divisions, regional ones. Again, the problem was the same, like with journal, limited pool of speakers who would like to give some talks, who would like to share some information, etc., etc. So after some time, we stopped it, but it still exists in the same format in other regions and run by other people. And the last way of interaction with the society is geological excursions. Currently, there is a boom of geological excursions, mainly, not mainly, but besides all. The reason for it is that traveling outside Russia is now restricted to many countries, particularly in Europe due to sanctions. And there are many people who now search for internal tourism, internal entertainment inside the country. So it started somewhere in 2020 or so, in Europe earlier, in Russia in 2020, but right now it's a very popular way of spending time in Russia and very popular among people to take children and to spend a weekend, for example, for digging with fossils in some localities. So this is a project which is called Paleo Tours, for which I developed several routes where we took children, parents, sometimes adult people who just would like to spend their time for fun, for hunting fossils. It's of course a seasonal business because when it's snow everywhere, it's not possible to dig fossils. And the idea is that people like to keep fossils. So it has great success in a way, and many young people pass through it and admire this a lot. Some of them later wrote research projects in their schools about fossils, so they were asking to help us. And also it was visited by some celebrities with children, which later said in their Instagrams and else, oh, we were visiting fossil hunt and this brought us new clients, etc., etc. So it is a good money support. It was a good money support also for people who were involved into this. And also I consider this a very beneficial practice for people, for the science, because people around, including celebrities, they learn more and more about paleontology. It means the more people know about paleontology, the more important this science is considered to be. And I believe that in New Zealand, particularly this kind of activity is one of most prospective and beneficial, which can be used quite quickly. Besides routes for geological excursions for children, there are some other companies now that offer stationary points based on all quarries where people can come and dig and everything. It's just like in Europe. Similar to excursions, but generating more money and no need to movement from somewhere to somewhere. It's looking like this. This is a fossil park, one of in Russian. You see on the upper photograph how it is organized, just a simple building where a person can show you, for example, some preparation and an old quarry where people can collect some fossils and take home. So the next insight, particularly from this kind of projects, which involved excursions, tours, etc., that today social networks bring more outcome and they're more useful than web resources in this area, because most of our clients came particularly from social networks. And the number of clients who came through the website, so the simple searching that, okay, I would like to go to fossil tour to collect some fossils and found the website, etc., it's quite small. Of course, sometimes social networks, they can contain only link to the full explanation of the details of the tours on the website. But the initial place where people get information that they can do this, social networks. It means that I saw that many people were trying to make websites advertising this kind of activity, but in modern world, separate websites, they don't work properly for this purpose at least. Okay, this is summary for the web presentation, not for the web presentation, sorry, for YouTube presentation. So I just leave it untouched here because I already told everything from here for you. And I should say that the one general thing about all these activities, which I was discussing before, is that we bring or share some paleontological knowledge to the society. And this has some value, including money value. So the last section of today's presentation will be quite briefly. I'll just tell you some ideas to my opinion. It is just my opinion, growing only from my experience and nothing else. What can be done in New Zealand to make paleontology great again? Let's say so. Some of practices can be taken almost unchanged from what I represented before. Some of them need to be changed and modified a little bit. So the first one, I should say, prerequisite is that amateur paleontologist community in New Zealand are mainly represented by retirees, means people 60 plus, and they are very numerous. In Russia, it is mainly entertainment for younger people. To my opinion, it is great that many aged people have interest in paleontology, but proactively, to manage this outreach, we should try to move the focus of interest to younger people, because younger people are our strategic interests. They will grow, and many of them occupy positions in management. So if these people sometimes may grow to higher people, they will understand that paleontology has some importance. They had some previous experience with this. We don't know where it works, but it may work for getting financial support. And we want, after they were touching with paleontology through school excursions, through something else, they won't be needed to explain again that science is interesting and important. That's it. To my opinion, there is a great focus on tourism in New Zealand, and this is also a beneficial thing for particularly making paleontology tours, which are not common here, which are present but not very common, and there are a lot of good outcrops, especially along the coastline, but not only, which can be used for collecting fossils. Comparing with conditions in New Zealand, in Russia, conditions for fossils are very bad because localities are very scattered on the territory, over the territory, and we need to travel sometimes 1 hour from Moscow just to reach the locality where people can collect some fossils. That's awful. Okay. Still, I need to highlight that there are a lot of clubs which called Rock and Minerals Club and else. Again, fossils can be used as additional attractor for people for these clubs and additional focus. The next one is, I know that now Geological Society of New Zealand Special Interest Group started to make a phone book of people who are involved in New Zealand paleontology, but strategic interest for any people to outreaching this is including or making a separate telephone book for all the societies around the country which are used just for entertainment of people, like this fossil and mineral clubs, etc., etc. Possibly, it's a good idea to try to collect their contacts, etc., etc., and drop them some news, etc., and sending them some information about science, what happens, to involve them better into our activities. I didn't show you in previous example, or I showed, but didn't point it your attention, that one of websites, this Jurassic.ru, it has such a telephone book, and many people are listed there. It means everybody can come to this telephone book, see, okay, this is a person, he studies gastropods, I found gastropod, I can ask him what happens. This is also open, and they contact directly specialists, and this is also useful, to my opinion. Next thing is purely scientific. We had a huge impact on our science because we had placed a lot of publications into the web for open access. In Russia, there is no large problem with copyright because due to transition from Soviet Union to Russia and transformation of many publishing houses, etc., etc., so this was completely different country, and it's not always clear who holds the copyrights. That is the issue. And for this reason, not many people care. But I would think, for example, if I was in GNS, I would think, what about opening your publications for previous years, for many previous years, for open access, because this may be beneficial for people who would like to know better about New Zealand paleontology. And about digitizing all publications as well, and just grabbing them somewhere all together. This would be helpful both for people who work in local paleontology and for people who would like to learn more about this. Creating a platform through which we could coordinate about what happens in paleontology in New Zealand. So in Russia, this is Russian Instagram, fossil Instagram, ammonite.ru. here, just some issue to think how it's better to do this, because there are many people who are interested in paleontology, as I told you, but they would need some kind of centralized area where they can communicate with professional community. And finally, as I told you already, there is a huge potential which I see in making these paleontological tours in New Zealand, just because you have lots of outcrops, sometimes with many fossils, and many of the localities are very close to large cities. Currently, from time to time, different people try to organize some kind of excursions for free. Means, I don't know, for example, my supervisor James Crampton from time to time do these excursions for a large group of people. They're very popular, but the idea is that we should pass to a model when any person at any time, if he would like to make some fossil hunt, can ask us to help, and we're also happy to help him for money, of course. This is especially important for people who have education in paleontology but have some problems with employment, because this is a real thing which can bring you some money. And the main idea of the present talk is that we need to work proactively with the society if we wouldn't like to repeat the nice experience of these dinosaurs who just observe the meteor who brought the extinction in the end of Cretaceous. That's it. We need to show that we are important, that we are interesting, that we are useful, and we need to bring the value of knowledge to these people. That's it, to the very wide society. And information has no economic value unless it's shared and it's acted on. That's it. And the caution, what I see now in Russia, that many of my colleagues from science, they just would like to do their science and do not interact with the society. And as a result, in the last 1 year or so, most people who give interviews at TV, who gives interviews to newspapers, etc., are people from industry of these excursions who are not professional paleontologists at all. And currently, they are face of our science. This is a very bad mistake that now Russian scientific community does, and I just wish we won't repeat this. That's it. Two important things. What I told today is just sharing a lot of experience, and I think everybody of you will gain some own ideas from what I was talking about. I don't believe that all that I was telling stories you about can be done centrally in coordination with something like this. No, all these things are very different and can be done by separate people without any coordination. Just if somebody would like to make excursions, he can do. If somebody would like to do something else, he can do, etc. But sometimes it's useful to make regular meeting for discussing where we are going and what are our successes and unsuccessful experience as well. So I would like to thank you for attention. I think we have around 10 minutes for questions. I will be happy to answer all if you have. So thank you for attention to everybody who is present today. So thank you who is watching this on YouTube channel of Geological Society of New Zealand. And also I thank artificial intelligence who draw many nice pictures for this presentation. I hope you like them too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexey. Really interesting presentation. Yeah, you captured a lot of things that I think are going on in terms of the communication evolution through time of text media just doesn't reach youth as much these days as it used to, and things like that. But then also some really specific things that are specific to paleontology, and particularly the fact that it is so engaging for the public. It's probably one of the most engaging topics in earth science for the public. They see a dinosaur or a fossil and they get very excited. But it's how we can maintain that. So I'll hand over to others to ask their questions. I know Chris has put some comments in the chat. Good summary. Some of the things we are doing as opportunities arise in New Zealand are working with schools, field trips, public talks, YouTube tours, but we don't have a dedicated social media presence. Should we establish a social media page, Facebook or Instagram? Now, Alexey, you advocated for this.
See,
I tried to run one as a rock identification one for the Geoscience Society in the past, and I will tell you it becomes a lot of work very quickly. But I think it's a great idea. Anyone here care to comment on that or volunteer?
uh,
Ilmaz.
so once again, what I comment?
Oh, yep, Alexey, and then Ilmaz, and then if anyone else.
Okay, I'll just comment on this dedicated social media presence. See, every kind of, I think, as I told you, the best way to deliver is social networks. But we should consider that different social networks have different audience. It means, for example, Instagram, I have an impression that it's more popular among women. Means among women who place a lot of photos, etc., etc. But men, they normally sit on Facebook or so. So possibly there should be several channels if you use social networks. I'm not sure about dedicated media, but if there would be a portal where people can share their finds, etc., like this ammonite.ru, Russian fossil Instagram, this could be useful. It works also as media, and placing photographs there is just only one side of the information that can be placed there, because sometimes amateurs produced full-size publications there and published the results of their own research and else.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Ilmaz, you had something you wanted to say.
Really enjoyed your talk, Alexey, and hearing about your experiences in Russia, which is obviously a lot different from New Zealand. And I want to acknowledge Mariana's comment about cultural considerations and societal considerations. But you know, and also responding to Chris's comment about setting up, I guess, social media communication channels. And I totally agree with Jenny that invariably it becomes quite a heavy workload for one person for it to be done effectively. I guess looking at your place in all this and your study in New Zealand, you're studying belemnites, and I want to acknowledge that you put this great talk together around science communications. Is that also part of your study here or part of your PhD? And I guess the thing I want to put on the table is we always seem to, I feel, this is my personal, science communication and outreach always seems to come back to being an add-on to everything else, kind of expected to be done by volunteers or people who are really passionate about that. And how do we make it long-term sustainable within organisations like GSNZ, that people can actually get careers in science communication and you don't just have to be a researcher. So I've kind of tied a lot of things together. Yeah, so just any comments from anyone on those kind of things I've put forward.
Okay. So should I comment something?
Yep. Love to hear from you.
Okay, so what is the question in short?
I guess first of all, is your research including any of the science communications and outreach you're presenting to us, or is this kind of something you've also taken on?
No.
Yeah.
No, this presentation is not connected with my scientific research,
right.
but I have some experience in this area. I see some place for realizing some things in New Zealand, and I think it's important to share this experience because somebody would grab these ideas and try to realize something. That's it. And it would be useful.
I really appreciate that.
So this is not about my scientific research. My scientific research is narrow, paleontological, and oriented to very certain public, not wide public.
And I guess, yeah, I see that this is definitely something that falls within the purview of the geoid group, but once again, a group that's, you know, like most of GSNZ, we're all there contributing to the society of volunteers. So yeah, I'm just kind of putting it out there. How do we make this more sustainable? Because it's great having a Facebook page with 1,000 followers, but to get up to there, that's a lot of work for someone. So I'm just kind of putting that out to our fellow community. Is there a strategy we can come up with, or is this something that's been kind of considered at higher levels within GSMZ as a kind of strategy?
It's something we can certainly take to the committee, although I think they're already very aware. Sorry, can I ask people to mute? I'm getting a lot of feedback, just one at a time. I think it's a widespread issue, how to sustain, and there's comments in the chat about how to sustain these great things that gets it up. I'm curious what you think the barriers are, Alexey and other people. Is it people don't have the time? We know people have the passion. You're all here. You obviously care. Is it that people don't have the time, or is it that they don't have the confidence to use new tools like social media, or maybe they hate Instagram and they're like, oh God, no, I don't want to get involved in that. Like, is it a confidence and a skills issue, or is it a time issue, or is it both?
Well, as I told you, this is not the thing which somebody must do this, must do this, must do this. For example, I'm also not a fan of social media, but I elaborated excursions and I run the fossil club for people who is amateurs. It means it's important to do the social media, but it should be done by a person who has passion in this, that's it. Because without enthusiasm, it's not a work which must be done and you will be paid and etc. etc. If you have passion in certain aspects, you may develop it. If not, you just modify it somehow. So I should highlight one more thing, which I frequently asked from colleagues in corridors, etc. Many people are concerned that occasional people collect a lot of fossils and collecting something important for science. It's a big problem. For me, I resolve it like this. Most invertebrate fossils, at least invertebrate fossils, they're very numerous, can be collected in dozens, hundreds, and thousands of specimens. And if some of them want to go to museums, they will go to private collections and will work for popularizing paleontology. That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Alexey. I think Mariana raises a really good issue here, which is a cultural difference between New Zealand and Russia, in that here we have mana whenua and we have, the traditional custodianship of the land, and fossils are seen as taonga. And so there's some very strict ethics to be followed. We have them thanks to the Paleontology SIG. We have a fossil collecting code of ethics as part of our wider society code of ethics, which I can share a link to, about how to collect fossils ethically in New Zealand. Mariana can probably tell us a little bit more about that, Mariana, if you're still online, but I see Marcus has his hand raised. Marcus?
Right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Just in regards to the engaging in social media side of things, there's a fair few of us involved, maybe through more the Rock and Mineral Club, to do a lot of engagement on the plethora of different Facebook pages, for example, that have popped up over the last few years, where people are putting up rocks, fossils, a lot of fossils is part of it, but a lot of it's rocks and minerals for ID, and the amount of pages keeps growing and growing. And some are well moderated, some are less so, but there is a lot of us doing a little bit of social media engagement and that side, helping with IDs, suggesting maybe you should talk to this scientist, you want to know more about this, or maybe this museum might be interested in that specimen for various reasons. And it's kind of a first point of call often with several of us keeping in touch with certain collectors we know. But that sort of sphere is sort of there a bit at the moment. It's these sorts of groups could step into it, but it is quite sort of big, bustling, and a bit ugly at times as well. But it is kind of there. It's there in places like Facebook or to an extent already. But yeah, so the picture is getting quite complicated and sort of multi-pronged already without our involvement much. But yeah, just thought I'd put that out there.
Cool, thanks, Marcus.
Marcus, are you saying that there's a lot of New Zealand Facebook pages that are putting up fossils for identification?
Yep.
Right.
More the rock and mineral sort of like based ones, and a lot of it is rock or mineral, but there is fossil content in there. It kind of like, because rock and mineral clubs kind of cover fossils as well. It's all, there's a lot of groups associated with more spin-offs, and most of it's people who are picking up agates or pounamu who want to know what it is, but there is a fossil section in there. Yeah.
See, this is one of things which I was talking about. Of course, there are some people who find some fossils, would like to identify them. If you are going through, if you are subscribed to them on Facebook, you will get notifications and can help them with identification. But there is no central open register when they can see, okay, I found ammonite, can contact this person or this person. I have found, I don't know, trilobite, I can contact this person or else.
Yeah, it's very, very informal at this stage. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so this is something that I'm looking at in terms of what the paleontology special interest group could coordinate. That's part of the rationale for developing the register. So we have a New Zealand list of experts in fossil groups.
Yeah, important that it should be open.
And so then also being a repository of resources and links to social media pages is something we could also do. If we don't have to actually moderate social media pages ourselves, if rock and mineral clubs are already doing it, then it makes it a hell of a lot easier. If we just are called to cast a professional eye over the odd identification, then that makes it a lot easier. And we also get our presence out there. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a way we can progress.
Thanks very much, Chris. I think
I've got to go and fix the neighbour's generator and
right.
batten down the greenhouse, so I'm going to have to leave you now.
All good. Thanks so much for coming, Chris.
Thanks a lot,
and for
Alexey.
suggesting this talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've run a little bit over time, so we will wrap it up there, but I think there's a lot more room for discussion on this front. The GSNZ does have an established social media presence, which is underutilized, so that is a potential avenue, and there are these existing forums that any of us can join as members and comment on in a professional or semi-professional, unofficial capacity. So that's something worth looking into. I think maybe we could follow up sometime with a sort of intersig discussion of how we could progress this a bit further. I think there's some potential here, and there's obviously some people keen to contribute. So thanks, Alexey, for starting this discussion for us. And hopefully we look forward to, thank you very much for your talk today. And we look forward to seeing the abbreviated version at the conference, along with presentations from many of the other people present today. So kia ora, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Please feel free to email any suggestions or follow-up ideas you have through to myself or to Chris using paleontology@GSNZ or geoid@GSNZ email addresses. Other than that, kia ora, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.